Hey, welcome. I swear to God, I'm not even kidding. Every single time I expect to go live, for some reason, that's when people start yelling outside. I don't know what the hell it is. If you guys hear it, I apologize. I have nothing I can do about it. I don't know if people are fighting out there or what the hell is going on, but it's weird because I swear to God, it's been super quiet. 5 minutes before I go to stream this, people start yelling outside. So nothing I can do about it. I apologize. But anyways, so I kind of want to do a quick stream tonight. I don't think this is going to be very long. There's really not much to say about it per se. People had asked me to look at Uncivil Law's review of my complaint against Katie Joy Paulson. Aaron from EKC People Suck and another person both said, hey, Steve, you should go check it out. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'll check it out because I know he did this review on my complaint. And, normally I don't watch videos with my name in it. I just have this aversion to it. There's no reason why I'm going to watch things with my name in it. But I did watch this one. It was about 45 minutes long. The link is in the video description. And it wasn't half bad. Actually, I agree with Uncivil Law on a lot of the points he made. However, there was some, I don't want to say issues, but there were some misunderstandings, I think, of the actual complaint. And it's not any slight to Uncivil Law. I don't think he would have known one way or another because, again, he just doesn't follow it. He's just going by what's on the paper, as a judge would do. And I completely get that. But, of course, there's obviously more than what's written down. A complaint is just an initial thing to get through the door. It's just enough to serve and say, hey, we have a case. That's it. That's all there is. I mean, you don't want to lay all your cards on the table. So all the evidence and everything that's provided in a lawsuit generally isn't just thrown out there on the initial complaint. So there's a lot more to it. And I think that Uncivil Law made some very good points. One of which he was saying that in each part where it said, okay, this is what we're suing for, what was not factual. Now, I have his video. I'm not going to go through his video in its entirety. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to play his video. I have it here. But I'll just kind of like parse it out individually and kind of address certain points that he made. But he does have a good point. It's like, okay, what is about Katie, what she said is not factual. The judge needs to know this. And I agree with him. However, I think that's going to come later on. I don't think you necessarily have to do that in the initial complaint, but it should be understood what was some of the issues from which I was suing for defamation. What is it that Katie has said that is egregiously wrong, that she has maliciously said about me that isn't sufficient to reach the statute of defamation per se? Fair enough. Okay, I'm looking at the live chat. Hi, Tina out there. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Yeah, I have no music for the intro yet. I still suck. I probably never will. Whatever. But, all right, so like I said, his video's in the video description, and I have it here. And so I'm kind of go through it a little bit. Like I said, I'm not going to play the video. I just don't think there's a need to. But I remember specifically some of the things he brought up, and those are things I wanted to bring to your attention. So the first thing he really kind of brought up, again, is what is being implied, which is not the case. What is the falsities? And I think that Civil did a very good job to go through and say, okay, this is mere opinion. This is a statement of fact. Statement of facts require evidence. Mere opinion does not. And I agree with him. I think he was actually spot on when it comes to that. One of the reasons why this complaint was worded the way it was, and yes, by the way, two lawyers had actually drafted this. I actually read some of his comments, and it's just like, did a real lawyer write this? Yes, of course. I paid $5,000 for real lawyers to write this. Yes, this is legitimate. This is actually a pretty decent firm in Minnesota. And so the people would ask, who wrote this? Well, yes, a lot of people wrote this in my complaint. Do I know why they didn't put in there what specifically was alleged to be not factual? No, I do not. I don't. And I think that he made a good point on that. But again, I don't know why that would be in the initial complaint per se. I think it would be maybe later on addressed, but whatever. But a couple of things that he had pointed out, I wanted to give specificities towards, because if Civil Law was acting as the judge and the judge knew the information to be the case, how would Civil and Civil Law rule? I think that's really more what needs to be brought up, right? Not so much the validity on the face of the complaint, but as Civil Law brought up, and he's absolutely right, the complaints are assumed to be true. And then if it's sufficient, if all true, is it enough to go to trial? Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it is. I mean, if all these things are true, or even if some of them are true, it's sufficient to go to trial because there are actionable claims on here. So if she would have filed any motion to dismiss, which by the way she did in the Todd Chrisley case, which was this one? Let me show you guys here. Okay, no, this was the 7M case. This one and this one is two of the motions she already filed to set aside. This was the motion to dismiss in the Todd Chrisley case. Okay, well, let me see here. Let me fix this for you. Why is that all off? I will fix this. One second. Make it pretty for you. Can you guys hear that yelling outside? I don't know what the hell's going on out there. It's weird they started right at the same time I was going to stream. Alright, so let me resize this so I can show you guys here. Because it's kind of interesting. The motion to dismiss that she had for the Todd Chrisley case and for the 7M are pretty much identical. There's really not much difference between them. This is the one for Todd Chrisley case, and if you go down here to basically the reasons why she doesn't think he has a case, which the judge already said that they were going to rule against her. She's already had a withdrawal of her motion to dismiss. But if you actually go through these claims that she has about why she shouldn't be sued, starting at the argument, it's exactly the same. Hang on a sec. Let me turn off my air conditioning. All right, sorry about that. It's exactly the same, almost verbatim, as in the 7M case for Robert Shin. Literally, they're almost identical. They're word for freaking word. It's basically, hey, I'm a public figure. You can't sue me. I got my information from third parties, blah, 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 which is complete nonsense. Of course, she can be sued. She had intent when she had printed or said some of these things, knowing full well they were not true. And that's actionable. So if you look at these two right here, these are literally two different filings. This is filed on 11/8/2021. This is filed on 4/26/2022, which was yesterday. And if you look at the arguments, they're almost identical. Pleadings that fail to state a claim upon relief can be granted, must be dismissed, blah, blah, blah. They're the boilerplate. She literally just copy, or the lawyers copy and paste one for the other. That's it. And again, you guys go through it. I'm not really interested in go breaking this down because we already did it for the first one, and they're identical. Plus, if you want to check it out, go check out Erin's channel. She actually broke it down. I'm more interested in what Uncivil Law had to say, because I said I think he made some valid points, but I think some of them have to be addressed. So he has said that. Oh, what's it? Oh, don't worry about it. Keno says, don't worry about them. Oh, I don't know. I don't know who they are, Keno. They're just people outside. Yeah, unless you hear gunshots. I did a couple nights ago, April. I really did. I swear to God, I heard a gunshot. But where we live, that's not that surprising. But anyway, so one of the things he had brought up, Katie has said in regards to fraud. She said he's legally hiding income from the government so that he can maintain disability. Okay? Now, again, these things have to be litigated. The facts remain what the facts are, right? Facts are facts. And I think, actually, Uncivil Law is right on the money with that. There are things that are just opinion and there's things that are factual. This is a factual claim. She is claiming that I withheld money to maintain disability. The facts are the facts, which are I've never collected disability in my life. I've never had any disability, ever. So if I've never had any disability, how can I perpetrate fraud on something that I've never collected? That's defamation. I mean, that's slander. She's saying that I've done something that I could not have possibly have done because I don't collect disability. I've never collected disability, right? So again, assuming everything is true on a complaint, which you should, and I get that. But there's going to be obviously exculpatory evidence, right? There's going to be evidence that shows what the complaint is saying is false. Well, the exculpatory evidence in this case is I've never collected Social Security or disability. Jimmy, well, either one. She included both of them. She actually said that I committed Social Security fraud too. I've never collected Social Security either. So she says, if you're making money through your work and you're not reporting on your taxes, that's fraud. Well, no, actually, it's not. It's not fraud. It's tax evasion. There's a difference between tax evasion and fraud, and Civil points that out, and he's right. But I've always done my taxes right. I screwed up one time on California tax like 10 years ago. It was a couple, like $100 or something. Nothing major, fixed, big deal. As far as federal, never once had an issue with federal taxes. Matter of fact, Peter Riley, who is a 20 or 30 year tax guru. I mean, he's a veteran of taxes. He used to do IRS tax audits. He's looked into all this. He found no malfeasance. He found nothing wrong with the way I was doing it. He didn't particularly think it was the best way to do it because it potentially was double taxation had it been the way that we had set it up. But it's nothing illegal about that. Nothing against that. You're just being double taxed. I get that. I knew that going in. I even said, yeah, I recognize that, but there's the only way we could really do it. He's like, fine. So Peter Riley, who wrote the article for Forbes.com, he wrote 2 articles on the Non Sequitur Show and one of his personal tax blog. He's actually been a co-host on an episode of the Non Sequitur Show with no problem. He recognizes there was no malfeasance. He recognizes there was nothing against the law that was done. So here's a guy that's an expert in law, or something expert in taxes, that's saying, yeah, Steve didn't commit any tax problems. He initially thought that there had been some problems, but once I talked to him and explained it, he edited his entry in the Forbes article. He reevaluated things, and he's like, okay, yeah, I see the way you wanted it done. Not the way he would have done it. Okay, that's fine, but there was nothing illegal about it. So she's claiming here that I wasn't going to report something on taxes. How does she know that? I never said I was going to not report something. And then she says, what medical do you receive? Medical disability? No, I've never had disability. Medical benefits, who pays those benefits? Well, none of your fucking business, but it's called the Veterans Administration. And then I had a secondary, but irrelevant. Why is it her business who paid my medical, right? Just as a statement of fact, she's saying by factual evidence, she has evidence that I committed some kind of fraud. Which again, it's not fraud, it's tax evasion. That doesn't exist. Never happened. So that's something that could be adjudicated, right? So when the civil law is saying, what is it that I'm disagreeing with here? It's not completely evident. You can infer certain things, but he's saying that it wasn't explicitly put in here by the lawyers. And I agree with him. I think it should be explicitly saying here, Steve McRae denies this, and this. There's, Steve McRae explicitly has stated this is anyway, something that says that, look, here's somebody who's saying that I've committed tax fraud when I have it from Kyle Curtis, who first tried to run this narrative that I committed any kind of fraud in writing that says he has no evidence of any of this happening. He made it up. He literally made it up. Right? So that's all evidence against her that she's making these claims that I committed fraud without any evidence. Right? And then she says, I'm done. You're hiding income from either the government or a company by asking Cal to pay you under the table. It's fraud, which never happened. Now, a couple of people had brought up, I guess, during this live chat with him that, Steve said Kyle can pay cash, blah, blah, blah. That's not paying under the table. It was an off-the-cuff comment. I explained it a million times. There's nothing that a judge can look at to say, oh, look, Steve is trying to get paid on the table. I have never asked Kyle to be paid on the table. I have a communication I have with Kyle was to say, make sure we have taxes paid correctly. How's your CPA doing this? What is the number for your CPA? Who is your CPA? He never gave me information on it. Never gave me a name. Never gave me a number. Nothing. He said, I'll get you in touch with him, in due time. But he never did. So there's absolutely no evidence of me being requesting to be paid on the table. And so if she has evidence for that, she can present that. But there isn't any. She has a video that she thinks does, but it doesn't. There's nothing in that video that says I want to get paid on the table. Nothing. It was just an off-the-cuff comment because he was like, oh, well, I'll get it to you somehow. I was like, look, I don't care how you get me the money. I've explained this a million times. Here's my PayPal. Here's my checking account. I don't care how you pay me. Cash, check, or charge. It doesn't fucking matter to me. The point was he didn't have the money to pay me, and that was the problem. He was hiding the money. He was cooking the books, and I recognize this. So when she says you ask Kyle to pay you under the table, she needs to provide evidence for that. Kyle never had evidence for that. Kyle specifically said he has no knowledge of me ever having any kind of unethical or illegal or fraud or anything like that whatsoever. I have a signed confession of judgment from him on that. So what is it that Katie has? Nothing. She thinks she has this video that doesn't say what she thinks it says. And by the way, again, it wouldn't be fraud. It'd be tax evasion. And so, but here's the thing. I've done my taxes every year. I've never had a single problem with the IRS. The IRS has never said I had done anything wrong. So how is it the IRS doesn't say anything? I did anything wrong? How is it that Peter Riley, who is an expert in tax, said I didn't do anything wrong? But hey, Katie Joy, an expert in everything, said I did something wrong. Okay, prove it. What's your evidence? This is what discovery is about, right? So I understand what Civil was saying. He's like, okay, what in this statement didn't ring true? What is it that Katie's saying that isn't true? Well, here it is, Civil. I've never committed fraud. I've never asked to be paid on the table. I've never had disability. So right there, that's defamation. I've never had disability. So clearly that's a false statement. He is legally hiding income from the government so that he can maintain disability. I have never collected disability, ever. I have a 0% rating from VA. Zero. Nothing. I have nothing from the state. I have never applied for disability. That's a false statement. Now, granted, there needs to be more than just falsities. I get that. But we are showing a pattern that she's making these false statements, not just to me, but to other people. There's a litigious nature to her for what's called vexatious litigation, that she has a history of making false statements. This is a false statement. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what I want people to understand. No matter what happens in my lawsuit, doesn't matter. What matters is people recognize she lied. That's the whole intent. That's all, I think Todd Chrisley wants too. He wants people to recognize she lied. Now, most of us, again, we realize this. All the people that are watching now, every one of you realizes that she lies. There's not even a matter of a question, right? But there are other people out there that might be on the fence. Her own audience, whoever, it doesn't matter. I got a job offer today. I took a job offer this morning. But if that job offer would have been, oh, hey, we looked into all this stuff and we found out you might be hiding money. We might be doing this. We've heard this rumor of this, blah, blah, blah. There might have been consequences for that. Luckily, that didn't happen. But I wanted to make sure that if that ever does happen, I have a solid defense to say, no, look, I took this person to court or I served them. I have a complaint against them. They've done this to other people. They never provided any evidence. And I have a solid case that shows that, no, none of this ever happened, because what I applied for requires a background check. What I required for requires a full background check, which by the way, I got a copy of, and of course it's completely clear. I could tell people save their money, but it has to do with loss prevention and asset protection. So you're in a position where you are working with the law, which I've done before. So in order to have that kind of job, you have to have a background check. What happens if this background check came up and, oh, look, suppose he did fraud. No, I wanted something to say, look, this person has lied about that. So that's one of the reasons why I initiated this lawsuit, because if I went for a job, I want to make sure that it wouldn't come back and bite me in the ass. Why is it my opinion, right? Yeah, I mean, Melly Lynn says, I get it 100%. She does not clear how it affects anybody's life, and it's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. It is. And that's why I wanted on record that she lied about me. That's all I've ever wanted. It's not about money. It's not about anything else. I want people to know she lied. Simple as that. And I will ask Civil, and by the way, Uncivil Law can come on my channel anywhere time he wants to answer these questions. If you're a judge, Kurt, his name's Kurt, right? Kurt, if you're a judge and you have it in front of you that a litigant has said it is legally, he is legally hiding income from the government so that he may contain disability, and the plaintiff has never collected disability, is that fraud? Or excuse me, is that defamation? At the very least, is it a false statement? Yes. Clearly, it's a false statement. Whether it reaches the level of defamation, well, we have that adjudicated. But it is a false statement. She lied about that. She knows they never collected disability. She's known that. Where the hell did she ever get any evidence I ever collected disability? Never. There's nothing that ever said I collected disability. She also said I had Social Security fraud. I've never collected Social Security. Those are false statements, right? So those things are a matter of fact. Those things are factual. She is not just stating an opinion. She's stating something that is factually based, which requires evidence, right? And then she has these screenshots, which I can kind of show later, but they don't show, of course, what she thinks it does. And then he goes on to say, here it says, my child was abused by Steve. Now, he admitted that, look, that on his face is defamation if it never occurred. But he also noted that my lawyers didn't say in here, Steve, plaintiff denies any abuse. Steve, plaintiff has never met her child. And I agree with Kurt. It probably should have been more explicit. I don't know why it wasn't. Maybe it just kind of assumed that it's false, right? Because if it's defamation assumes falsity, right? So it is assumed that this statement is false by the mere fact that we're claiming it's defamatory, because in order for it to be defamatory, it has to be false. But do I think it should have been explicit? Yeah, I think it should have been. I agree with Kurt on that. But the fact remains is this is a false statement. I have never met her son. I've never been in the same state as her son. How is it that I possibly could have abused somebody that I've never had any contact with or know anything about? It's just vitriol that she had said, and of course it's defamatory, because that kind of statement in today's climate can be very detrimental. When you say somebody abused your child, that has connotations to it. That has a stigma attached to them. And then you ask the person, well, wait a minute. I've never been in 1,500 miles of your child. How was they abused? But she words it as such where that doesn't matter, right? It's just that's what she would throw out there in order to get people behind her, just to rally behind her, go, look, they're picking on my son. No one's ever picked on her son. I said this on Aaron's channel the other night. I have never have I seen anybody attack her child. Nobody has done that. And so for her to say that I abused her child, that's defamatory. It's prima facie false, because you can't abuse somebody you've never met. And so that's defamatory. But like I said, I do take Kurt's criticisms that this should have been very explicit, that, plaintiff has never, been anywhere near her child. But at the same time, the fact that we put it as defamatory, we are saying the statement's false. So, should have been explicit? Yeah. Do I think it's that critical? Probably not. Although I kind of wish it was. But I see his point on that. I do see his point that it should have been explicitly noted. But, that comes later on, I guess, right? But do you guys agree so far? The two things she has said so far, three things, they're false. She said I was trying to defraud disability. That's false. Defraud medical. That's false. And disability. That's three things. That's false. And that I abused a child, which is false. So all these things so far are false statements. That's what I want Kurt to at least recognize as a judge, that these are false. Keno says she said the trolls abused her son. How? I don't know either. I really don't. I've never seen a single person, not even the shittiest people on YouTube. I've never seen one of them go after her kid. Not one. Not one. So, but you guys agree so far that every one of these statements is a falsity by her. That's what my whole point is on this. That's what I want people to know. Actually, let's see here, right here. Actually, it is explicit here. To plaintiff's knowledge, he has never been in the same state as the defendant or her child, and he has never met the defendant or her child in person. Okay, it was actually, you know what? It was explicit. I forgot about that. They did put that in there. It is explicit right here. I've never been in the same state. I've never been in Minnesota that I'm aware of. Maybe as a kid I may have been. I don't know, but I don't think I've ever been to Minnesota. But I certainly have never been in the state within the last 40 years at best. But I've never met her defendant child. So yeah, this is a false statement. And then she said, Steve admits he didn't want the money because he's on F security. That was supposed to be Social Security, and wanted Kyle to pay him in cash, or he wanted to hide the money. I never said any such thing. I've never said I wanted to hide money. That's a falsity. I've never been on Social Security. That's a falsity. So again, to Kurt, if I've never been on disability, if I've never been on Social Security, and I've never said I wanted her to pay me in cash, are those defamations? Or are those defamatory statements? She's accusing me of things that never happened. I never said I wanted him to pay me in cash. I said he could, but I didn't care how he paid me. I just cared he paid me. And so she's making a statement here that wasn't true. As a matter of fact, it's funny because the person who claimed that I wanted money because of Social Security retracted that statement and said she was wrong on that, and she misunderstood what Kyle was telling her, and she apologized. But of course, Katie doesn't care about that. She didn't care that the person who first brought that up got it wrong, retracted it, and Katie still ran with it. So to Kurt, if he ever watches this, is this a false statement? If she says that I wanted to hide the money because I was on Social Security, but I don't collect Social Security, and I've never said I wasn't going to pay taxes on it, I never said to get paid under the table, is this defamation? Or at least is it false? Is it a false statement? That's my biggest thing. Is it a false statement? Did you mention once it wouldn't affect your Medi-Cal? Yeah, it wouldn't. Well, it wouldn't affect my VA at all. I wasn't sure how to affect my Medi-Cal. And at the time, I was just, like I said, I was trying to get a surgery done. So I wasn't sure how to affect it. But I was looking into it. Then I realized it wouldn't really matter. And it took this whole process took like 3 weeks. And again, when I first told that to Kyle, we had made, I think, $100. It wasn't of any significant amount. It was like before it even got monetized. So there's no revenue to even be talked about of any consequence. We literally, at the time, I think he had a PayPal set up at live@nonsec.com. But that's all it was. And there's $100 and something I think he put on the statement for the balance sheet for the case, but it wasn't that much. So yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. It just no big fucking deal. And so she's making a statement of fact though that I was on Social Security. Okay, prove it. I can give you my solemn word. I've never had Social Security. Never had disability. So she's already has an onus upon her to show that her statements are true, but she can't. And this goes back to the whole Todd Chrisley case. She has to show that she had talked to somebody from the USA Network's show, Chrisley Knows Best, that had told her that they believe Todd Chrisley or whatever else supposedly this person told them about that sex tape. But she says she doesn't even know the person's name. She has 20 days to have discovery to send Todd's legal team who it was she talked to. But if she didn't talk to anybody, who is she gonna say? Well, I talked to some anonymous source. That doesn't cut it. All right, where's your communications with them? Are they emails? Are they instant messages? I believe very strongly she didn't talk to anybody. But if she did, and she didn't get any information about who it was, she's liable. It's malicious. She didn't do her due diligence. I don't know what's going to happen in 20 days with that. I don't know how the hell she's going to produce evidence of she talked to somebody in discovery when she didn't talk to anybody, I don't think. And if she did, she needs to provide to Todd who it was. All right. So defendant statement was a continuation of a defamatory statement accusing plaintiff of fraud or tax evasion, and implication that plaintiff engaged in criminal conduct. Right. Okay. Well, I've never been investigated for any kind of criminal conduct. I got my taxes back. They were good. I got them back the other day. I've done my taxes for 30 plus years. I used to make a lot more money than I make now, and I had no problem with taxes. All of a sudden, when I'm making less than I've ever made in my life, I'm suddenly going to do tax evasion? No, it doesn't work that way. You usually do tax evasion when you're making a lot of money and you want to hide that from the government. I'm not making that much. I get all my taxes back. There's nothing to evade. When you make under a certain amount, you get almost all your taxes back, if not more, because of an earned income credit or whatever. And so, yeah, why would I do tax evasion when I don't even make that much? My taxes for that year was $4,000. I don't pay any taxes on $4,000. I get all that back. If I would have paid into it, but on Google they don't take anything out. But any other secondary job, I always claim zero, so I always get taxes back at the end of the year, right? Normally you claim zero or you claim one dependent. I don't claim any dependents, which means they take out more money per month, but I get that money back at the end of the year. This is a nice little bonus to me at the end of the year. I realize I'm not getting interest on it, and I understand that. It's not that much to be really concerned about. But to me, I like knowing that I'm going to get money back rather than owe money, right? So I'd always claim zero. Perfectly fine. Let them take out as much money they want. My taxes are always fucking good. Matter of fact, let me ask the audience, what do you guys usually claim for your dependents? Is there anybody that's a single person that claims zero, or do you claim one? Or you can claim 2, 3, or 4. It doesn't matter how many you claim. There's nothing, against law of how many you claim. It just means that the more you claim, the more money they're going to give you. But at the end, you're going to owe them money. And I don't like owing the government money. But these are actual factual statements that she has said that I engaged in criminal activity. That's defamation. That's literally what defamation is, saying that the person has committed crimes that they didn't commit. And it was based upon the fact that Kyle had said those things. And she issued an apology video saying that she was wrong about those things. And she had just believed Kyle, which is really going to harm her later on. And in fact, Kurt notes this, that, oh, she made an apology video. Yeah. So how is it she going to say that she just misunderstood or whatever when she made an apology video and then continues later on after the apology video and make these same claims again? Yeah, I claim single, but I mean, when you claim single on your W4, do you claim 0 or do you claim 1? Because I typically claim 0. I used to claim 1, but my last job I claimed 0. In fact, no, I don't want to show you guys my. You get what's called you get what's called an earnings statement. Wait, can you guys see that? Wait, one sec. I don't want to show you my. There you go, my address. But you get an earnings statement, right? So when you get a W-2 earnings statement, you file that, and then you get what's called a 1099 NEC or a 1099 miscellaneous from Google as a YouTuber. And then it sucks because anybody who does taxes for YouTube knows that you don't get the free service. If you're on HRN or Block, or if you're on TurboTax, it's not free if you're an independent contractor. YouTube, you're an independent contractor, you got to pay a lot more money to do your taxes, and it sucks. I mean, yeah, you can do them yourself for free, but I'm like, whatever. I just have TurboTax do them. But, oh wait, you guys can't see this very well. But yeah, as anybody who knows who has a YouTube channel, you have to do your taxes because you have to do your 1099, and so your 1099 isn't part of the free TurboTax thing, and that sucks, right? So, but yes, I've already got my taxes back, and no problems there. Yeah, I don't know about Canadian system. I have no idea about the Canadian system. I couldn't tell you. I've done my taxes for American system for, like I said, 30 plus years. Never had a problem in federal tax. And all of a sudden, she's saying that, oh, Steve has tax evasion. Are you freaking kidding me? No, that's defamation. And when worse, like I said, she apologized. And then she goes on. Let's see. I'm just. Here, Steve paid taxes and Kyle paid taxes and Steve wanted him to hold the cash for no tax liability. Really? Well, come to find out, fun fact, Kyle never paid taxes on that stuff, from what I understand. At least I have no evidence Kyle paid any taxes. So how does she know what Kyle paid? And again, this was only when we only had about $100 some odd in PayPal. This was before the channel got monetized. This was back in 2018. We didn't get monetized until June of 2018. This was before then. So what is it to hold? Why would I not have tax liability? If he had an accountant like he said he had, a CPA, a tax guy, they would have done all his taxes and they would have said how this is supposed to be done. This is why I kept asking him. So at no time did I ever say there was no tax liability. That's just ridiculous. So again, that's defamation. Then she says, anyone self-subscribed to the Non Sequitur show would have probably unsubscribed, or should probably unsubscribe. Again, not really defamation, but it shows a pattern of harassment, I think. Because Steve apparently gets it back, which I did, and doesn't deserve a platform with 20,000. It was 33 at the time, I think, but it's about 29 now. Subs used to harass and target people like me. Okay, that's a statement of fact. Harassment is a statement of fact. How am I harassing somebody when they made false and defamatory statements against me? I'm merely defending myself. That's not harassment. That is a statement of fact. That's not a statement of opinion. And again, I watched this video, and I will say, I think Kurt is right in differentiating between what is a statement of fact and what is a statement of opinion, because that's something Katie Joy can't do. She doesn't know the difference between a statement of fact and a statement of opinion. There are vastly different things. Statements of opinions are not defamatory. Statements of fact have to be verified and have evidence, which she doesn't have. Right? So she has no evidence that I ever wanted to do that. That makes it defamatory. That makes it a false statement. But again, I think we should have actually annotated on here specifically, explicitly, that, okay, Steve denies this. Steve has never, asked to be paid under the table. Steve has never said anything about having a tax liability. Oh, no tax liability. I think that should have been explicit. I agree with him on that. But it is still implied by the fact that these are defamatory statements that statement's false. So if the judge says, I have to look at all this, if it's true, if there was ever a motion to dismiss, if this is true, is it defamatory? Well, it is. If it's true that she said this and it's not the case, it is defamatory. And of course, saying that it's a defamatory statement, we're arguing that's not true, right? So I don't think it's egregious as what he thinks. But, I recognize that, yes, it should have been more explicit. I just don't know really if it makes that much difference because, again, we're already saying that these are defamatory. We're already saying they're false statements. Let's see what else we got here. This one was a big one here. So, and I get his point, what he says on this. He says, on or about, or I in my complaint say, which my lawyers wrote, on or about June 2nd, 2020, defendant claimed in a video posted on Instagram that the court had added, quote, a stipulation under the Violence Against Women's Act, VAWA, sua sponte, because defendant had, quote, tons of evidence regarding plaintiff's conduct. On August 8th, 2020, defendant again stated the court ordered a VAWA provision on their own. Now, Kurt recognizes there's two ways to interpret this. The court filed it under VAWA, and the court filed it, or the court didn't file it, or if they did file it, did they file it sua sponte, which means on the motion of their own accord. The judges basically did it on their own accord without a formal motion from any attorney. And that's fine. You can read it that way, but I think the plain reading speaks for itself. This never happened. It wasn't that the judge filed it under VAWA sua sponte or not. It was never filed under VAWA because VAWA got expired in 2019. The judge never looked at any evidence. The judge never said there was tons of evidence. There's nothing he would have put it under VAWA because VAWA only applies to domestic partners and family. If you've never met somebody in real life, you've never been in the same vicinity with them, it could have never been under VAWA to begin with. VAWA only applies to domestic partners and family members, neither of which I would be. So it's prima facie that this is a false statement when she said that the judge filed it under VAWA. Doesn't matter whether it was sua sponte or not. She didn't say sua sponte. My lawyers said sua sponte because my lawyers were saying that she's arguing the judge just put it under his own accord, which would be sua sponte. But the judge never put it under VAWA. I have exculpatory evidence from my lawyer saying, no, the judge never did that. That's nonsense. So that is a defamatory statement. And Kurt recognizes if that is true, if she did say that the judge put it under VAWA, whether it be sua sponte or not, and he didn't, that's defamatory because it's going against my character. It's saying that I'm somehow abusing of women or something like that. Because I quote tons of evidence. She has no evidence the judge saw anything. The judge doesn't see anything until the hearing. That's all the judge cares about is the hearing, but we never got to a hearing. So what evidence did he look at that there was tons of evidence? I'm still waiting for that answer. What was so egregious that there was tons of evidence to put in a Violence Against Women's Act, which wouldn't have applied because, again, not a family member, not a domestic partner of any kind, and I never met the woman in real life. It couldn't have been under VAWA, and of course, VAWA expired in 2019. So this was, not only was this a false statement, it was defamatory. And of course, Uncivil Law points that out. If this was read, okay, none of this ever happened, then yes, it's defamatory. If it's read as, oh, the judge did put it under VAWA, but it wasn't sua sponte, then not so much. And he's right on that, I think. But that wasn't the argument. We're not arguing that he put it under sua sponte. We're arguing that it never happened. He never put it under VAWA, period. That was a falsity that Katie Joy had put out to try to attack my character. So I think that needs to be very, very specified. And I want Kurt to hopefully one day address that. If it is the case that the judge never put it under VAWA, that was an absolutely just false statement, would he consider that to be defamatory? Well, clearly, I think the answer is yes on that, right? I mean, when somebody makes a false statement that attacks your character like that, that's literally defamation. So I would like to know, knowing now that the judge never did that, would Kurt agree that the case is a little bit stronger, right? I mean, I get that he's just reading the complaint, and I understand that. But knowing that Katie never had any evidence for this, never had any evidence the judge did this, because it doesn't exist, doesn't make the case stronger that she lied about that. So all these things are showing a pattern of her lying about me. Doesn't make the case stronger. Then she says, it says, defendant maliciously made false statements about plaintiff and the VAWA to label plaintiff as an abuser of women and caused third parties to falsely believe plaintiff was an abuser of women. I have evidence of that, which are not in the complaint yet. I have screenshots galore from Twitter and other places of trolls literally using my name and attaching me to VAWA and saying that, things talk about abusing women. That's all going to be in the court case. That's all evidence. But that's not in the complaint. So, of course, the judge hasn't seen that yet. Uncivil Law hasn't seen that yet. It has not been made public yet. But I have all these screenshots of people talking about this VAWA that was based upon a lie from Katie Joy, which shows, yes, I was harmed by it. It falsely portrays me to be an abuser of a woman that I've never met. Right? So that's why it's defamatory. This is why there's an actual lawsuit. Because, again, I have all that evidence. It just doesn't go in the complaint. So, of course, he's not going to see it. And I recognize that he's only reading this as, okay, is there sufficiency here to serve and not get kicked out by a motion to dismiss? He agrees there's enough to have sufficiency to serve. I don't know what he really thought about the motion to dismiss. But given that if these things are true, there's no reason to dismiss it because these are false statements. That's the same reason why Chrisley's case was not going to get dismissed. And that's the same reason why the 7M case is not going to get dismissed, which, again, is a boilerplate copy, carbon copy, cut and paste almost, of the complaint, the motion to dismiss for Todd Chrisley. There's just, they're punting here. They're basically hoping for a Hail Mary to get a dismissal when there's no grounds for it. And then number 36, on July 17, 2021, during a publicly broadcasted YouTube live stream, defendant stated the plaintiff have threatened her by email to obtain an apology. Well, that's a statement of fact. That requires evidence. I can tell you right here and now, I have never once in my life emailed Katie Joy anything. Nothing. I got one of her emails that she had sent to me because there was going to be something we were working on for Non Sequitur show, but I never contacted her on that. So if she has an email of me threatening her for an apology, that needs to be provided to the court during discovery, which doesn't exist. This is why I'm pretty confident that she never talked to anybody in the USA Network's show Christine Knows Best, because I know for a fact she's lying about this. I absolutely know she's lying because I've never sent her an email. How could she say that I threatened her by email if I've never sent her an email? So she's lying about that. So I think she's absolutely lying about the Todd Chrisley case. I just think she's lying about all of that. But I actually, even more so, I have our discussion of how that video came about, of how that apology came about. And in that discussion, there's no threat. She came to me and she says she's going to make this video and apologize. I said, thank you very much. Can you put these links in there? And I will talk about it on Caffeine Corner the next day. I'll let people know that you apologize. I even tweeted it out. The tweet's still there. Katie Joy apologized to me. I accept it. She's off my radar. But then she went and apologized for her false allegations of sexual harassment. And she's like, talk to me in private about it. I'm like, no, I ain't going private with you. If you accuse me of things publicly, let them be addressed publicly. And she blocked me. And that's the last contact I've ever had with her on Twitter. So, hang on. My cords are getting... and so, when she says that she has an email that I threatened her, yeah, that needs to be brought up in discovery. But no such email exists. That's a lie. So I would ask Uncivil Law, if that's the case, if she said I threatened her when I didn't, and she has no evidence of that because it never fucking happened, is that defamatory? That's what I like to know. Is it defamatory? Again, there's multiple things in there to show a strong case for defamation, but it does show that she lied. Right? I can tell. I'll bet you everything you want. She has no email from me. That anything of threatening or any other email. I've already. I double triple check. I went through all my email stuff. Nothing ever sent to her, and I don't even know why I would ever send her an email. I always contacted her through Facebook or through Twitter. So, show me where that I threatened her by email. She has to show that, right? That'd be a positive defense. oh, well, here's the email. And it's, I threaten, apologize to me or I'll do this. Never happened. So that's a lie. And then she says, on about July 17, 2021, defendant also stated Clayton harassed an individual named Nat or Natalie, including sending graphic images or death threats. We all know now that was bullshit. We know that was a lie as well. I have never talked to Nat. Never once. I've never responded to her. Never will. So how am I sending death threats to anybody? She said she verified an account that was my Instagram account, but I've never used that Instagram account to talk to anybody. I have 0 DMs in it. I have 2 Instagram accounts. One of them I've never DM'd anybody on it. And you can serve it. You can get it from Discovery. You can literally serve Instagram. I don't give a shit. I'll give you all that. But there's no DMs from that. None. So she never verified that I sent anything. And she went on Kay Baxter's stream and waxed the opinion, or what is it, 2 Ball of Wax, sat there and said, oh, yes, we've already verified it. She's right. Steve sent these death threats. Oh, really? No, that never happened. The FBI investigated all that. They realized it was bullshit. She accused Aaron, myself, and Tina of crimes, none of which happened. So this is defamatory. She's saying that I have sent graphic images and death threats. Okay, prove it. Show us the evidence for that. I mean, you can't show evidence of things that you don't have. This is why I'm so certain that she does not have any evidence in the Todd Chrisley case that she had talked to anybody. I know she lied about me, so it just seems to me prudent to think that she probably lied about Todd as well in this situation there. I mean, again, doesn't necessarily have to follow. She could just lied about me and tell me the truth with Todd, sure. But it goes to credibility. I know for a fact this never happened. I never sent a death threat to anybody. So she has to show this to the judge, and she can't. That's defamatory. So again, asking Uncivil Law, if that's the case, is it defamatory? Is it true that if what I'm saying is the case, is that defamation? Because again, these are assumed true for the sake of should we have a motion to dismiss or not? If all these things are true, is there enough to adjudicate? That's all a motion to dismiss is looking at. It doesn't matter whether you have to prove it true or not. It's just if these things are true. Is this something that can be adjudicated? If they're even if they are true and there's no case to be had, then you can dismiss. If I say, hey, she called me a mean poopy head, I'm suing her, and the defendant says, hey, you can't sue on that ground. That's an opinion. Okay, if it's true that she said I'm a mean poopy head, is it litigious? Is it something you can sue for? Well, no. Motion to dismiss. Granted. That's all. That's how it's simple as that. So I think that he recognizes that if all these things are true, then I have a case. Now, he doesn't like the way it's worded because I don't explicitly say what is factual and what is opinion, and I get that, and I think he's right on that. But do you guys at least agree with me that, yeah, I did, by the way, I did Keno's taxes, yeah. But I know what I'm doing. So she trusts me. Do you guys at least agree with me that if all these things are true, is it defamatory? By the way, is my laugh track stuck? You guys are awfully quiet. That's unusual. Let's see. Defendant claimed to have observed screenshots substantiated her claims regarding Clayton's alleged harassment of Nat or Natalie, who I've never spoken with. That it was verifiably plaintiff. Never happened. Moreover, defendant claimed plaintiff has a cult of women he preyed upon, whom? And was one of the most violent and dangerous people she has ever been around. It's funny she has said that about 40 other people. There's so many other people she has said that about. Exactly the word for word. It's her playbook. Okay, well, that's an opinion. I don't think that's something that specifically is defamatory per se, if that's her opinion. But cult of women he preyed upon is a matter of factual statement. Okay, that's a statement of fact. That's not his opinion. Who? She has no names for that. So that is completely defamatory. If she thinks I'm vile, okay, whatever. I think she's vile. Those aren't defamatory. But if I say that she has a cult preying on people and that she's committed crimes, that could be defamatory. That's one of the reasons why Robert Shin is suing, because she uses same verbiage on him, that he is a cult leader, that he has women he's preyed upon, that he has people that he's taken advantage of. Same exact verbiage almost. So he's suing for defamation because it is defamatory. Let's see what else here. She said, fuck any of you for doubting my story because you believe my abuser's narrative. There's no narrative. How was she abused? Did she ever say what I did that abused her, that was sexually harassed her? No. No, she said, oh, supposedly I said the word penis, which wouldn't have been abuse anyways, or sexual harassment. That never happened. And then she's like, oh, I never claimed he sexually harassed me. The fuck she didn't. I have multiple screenshots of her saying she I sexually harassed her. So when she tries to say that, oh, I never claimed he sexually harassed me, that's a lie. That's going to be brought up. That's a lie. She's literally has said, I never claimed that, yet I have evidence that she did claim that. So how is she abused? Fuck him. I'm one of many women he's done this to. That's a statement of fact. Okay, where's the evidence for that? And you will be next if you don't comply. Comply with what? He's dangerous in my experience. Dangerous how? Because I tell the truth? Because I point out the fact she's lying? I'm dangerous to what? Her income? Because maybe people might recognize that she was lying about them. And if they would have recognized this ages ago, we wouldn't have had the Toddy Westbrook situation. We wouldn't have maybe had the Todd Chrisley situation. We maybe not have had the Robert Shin situation. We might have 3 more supposedly defamation lawsuits coming her way. If people would have just listened to me. I said from the beginning she was lying. Just like I said Kyle was lying. When I say people's lying, they're usually lying. There's reasons why I say things. But of course, not many people listened back then. Why? I put in my blog that I do believe, unfortunately, I think that being a cisgender, heterosexual, white male, it's being a disadvantage. I hate to say it. I'm not trying to pull the anti-race card or sex card, anything like that, but it is true. And we see this with the Amber Heard case with Johnny Depp. It's hard to imagine Johnny Depp being the victim of an abusive relationship, yet he was. I'm pro Johnny Depp. I'm on Team Depp. I think he was emotionally abused, like he was physically abused. He was in an abusive relationship, but you don't often think that way. You always put it towards the woman's more likely to be abused, right? So in my situation, more people were willing to believe Katie Joy than me because she's a woman. And I hate saying that. I really, honest to God, hate saying that, but it has to be addressed. It's true. She misused and abused the Me Too movement to try to weaponize it in order to go after her critics, me being one. And some of her people and her subscribers believed it. Not because of the evidence, not for any other reason, but merely because she said it. That's scary. That's really scary that you think that all it takes is somebody to say something and people will believe it. They don't ask for evidence. They don't care. And then when I ask for evidence, I get it vilified. I'm not anybody's team. I'm not bandwagoner. I don't go team this, team that. Except for I do think Johnny Depp is a victim of domestic abuse, and I am team Johnny. But as far as like the YouTubers, most people are on their own. There are people that I support. I full-heartedly, 100% support people like Tina, Aaron, and Res Rhetoric, but they've never given reason not to, right? I mean, the other people that I've interacted with, I've never been their promoters. I just talk to them. I talk to a lot of people. I think the way you engage with somebody that you may not disagree with is by communicating with them, and then maybe you can get them to change their ways. That doesn't always happen. But once they reach a point where you realize they're not going to change their ways, they're not going to realize that they're going down a path of self-destruction, then you just distance yourself from them, which I've done. Yes, I'm done. Yeah, April, I know, and I appreciate that. And April says I believed you the whole time, and you believe me with Kyle too, and Kimamaki did, and other people did. And believe me, that means a lot to me. It really, honest to God, does. Kino has always believed me. But unfortunately, not everybody is you guys people. I mean, not all you. And so there are people out there that are in Katie's camp that believes her merely because she says it. Oh, look who showed up. What the hell are you doing awake? Go to bed. Nobody's talking about you, Aaron. Nobody's talking about you. Just kidding. Yes, you heard your name. But Aaron's never given me a reason to doubt her. Never. She's never lied to me. At least I know of. We disagree on a few things, but that's great. The fact that we can disagree and I really like her stuff and a huge fan of her, that just means all the more to me that we may not see eye to eye on certain things. But so what? I'm not a litmus test kind of person. I don't choose who I associate with on one or two, reasons. I mean, she may come out and say she's a huge Trump fan, and I might go, well, why? But am I going to disassociate with her because of that? Probably not. But I'll be like, why? Come talk to me. I'd like to know. I'm just kind of curious why why Aaron is like go pro Trump. But it's not a litmus test for me. I don't just have friends based upon certain criteria. To me, it's how they treat me and if they're honest or not. And Aaron has never given me a reason to doubt her honesty. But I think she would agree with me that women are going to bleed more than men. We were seeing it with the Johnny Depp case. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this lawsuit, why I wanted that complaint out there, is because this shows that I'm willing to fight. Then she said, I am done with people saying I'm unhinged for saying my truth. Well, we don't know that her truth is bullshit. For 2 years, a narcissistic psychopath has literally stalked, harassed, and destroyed my peace. Okay. Calling me a narcissist, not defamatory. Both stupid, but it's not defamatory. Psychopath, definitely not a psychopath. I do have empathy for people. And I love animals. Literally stalked, harassed, and destroyed my peace. Okay, those are statements of fact. Okay, how did I stalk her? How have I harassed her? How have I destroyed her peace? Those need to be put into evidence, none of which have happened. Until you're stalked and abused by someone like him, don't tell me how to act. Fuck y'all, blame him instead. Okay, here's the funniest thing. She said this about how many other people? How many other people has she said this about? She's claiming that I gave her PTSD, and she also claimed that, like, I have screenshots of her claiming other people have given her PTSD. Well, what is it? All of them did? How is that possible? I mean, maybe a cumulative type thing? Maybe if you're adjudicating it, but you're saying that it's this one person has given you so much stress in your life by pointing out that you lied. How is that PTSD? How is me defending myself saying that Katie Joy has lied about me PTSD? I'm curious. I really like to know that. Can somebody tell me how it's PTSD of me defending myself? Fuck any of you that says I can't fucking say he sexually harassed me. Well, there you go. She has said, I never said he sexually harassed me. Well, here she said that I did. How? How? There's never been any evidence of that whatsoever. Aaron says, women are believed more than men, mostly because in some ways women are victimized more than men. And I agree with that. However, with stalking and harassment, I'd say the number is about even. And you're probably right. Right? But here's the thing. These are statements of fact. She has nothing in discovery for these things. There's no evidence of this. There's just none. If she had any evidence of this, she would have produced it by now, and she has not produced it. Why? Because it never fucking happened. He did. He's a fucking narcissist, prick, abuser, and he's done this to multiple creators. Well, that last part is a statement of fact. Who? What have I done? I only ever apologized to him because he threatened me. Really? That's a statement of fact. Show me where I threatened her. Again, I have the conversation where she tells me she's going to make that video. And I say to her, thank you, basically. Can you put these links in there for me? And I'll talk about it on Caffeine Corner. That's not a threat. There was nothing threatening about that. She came to me and wanted to know about my story from comparative to Kyle's story. And she said, I will let people know that she got it wrong. And I said, thank you. I appreciate it. Will you put these links in there? And I will let people know that I accept your apology. And I tweeted that out. And the tweet is still there to this day. Literally the same day. Or maybe it was the next day. It was either the same day or the next day. I tweeted it out. I think it was the same day. Saying, I accept her apology. She's off my radar. Go look it up on Twitter. I have that conversation that she says was deleted. She said that I deleted the Twitter. Nope, I didn't delete shit. I have the entire conversation. I just haven't made it public yet. Oh, her lawyers are aware of it. My lawyer says I can't make it public yet, and I agree with them, but she is well aware that I have that conversation because her lawyers know. Proven false allegations should draw a corollary finding of harassment against the accuser. Yeah, no, I believe that. I believe that Katie should be held liable for harassment because she has gone out of her way to smear me. By saying that I threatened her to make an apology video when I have the evidence that was not the case and she has no evidence that it was, she needs to be held accountable for it. That's what a lawsuit's for. Now, Whether this goes all the way or not, I don't know. But it's irrelevant to me as opposed to getting the information out there that she lied. If Todd Chrisley can take it all the way, or Robert Shin can take it all the way, or anybody that sues her, this can be used in those court cases. And it might actually be used in a court case or two. There might be stuff in my court case that will be used in additional court cases. Because I have the exculpatory evidence to show that she has done this to other people. So when somebody has said, oh, she's done this to other content creators, I have the evidence. I'm the other content creator. So I might have some of this stuff adjudicated differently through other lawsuits. Just saying. But I'd like to ask Kurt, if I have that evidence, which I can show him, that I never threatened her to make that apology video. She brought it up to me. I thanked her for it. I simply asked her, can she throw some links in there for me? And I said I would put out the next day that I accepted her apology, and I would talk about it on Caffeine Corner, which we did. Does that show that this is a defamational statement, that I threatened her? Because it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. She says, my restraining order, which it wasn't, it was a TRO. Again, there's a very specific statute in Minnesota for TROs. There's a TRO and there's an RO. They're not the same thing. An RO is not a subset of TRO. TRO is temporary. An RO is not temporary. It's not a subset. Even though they have RO in it, legally speaking, they're two very different things. It's like saying you got a temporary cure as opposed to an actual cure. A temporary cure is not a cure. A temporary alleviation of something is not a remedy, right? So even though you had symptoms that were alleviated, doesn't mean you were cured or there was a remedy on it. It was a temporary condition. So temporary RO is not the same as an RO. The ROs were never granted. She had 3 ROs, none of them were granted. Or she had petitions for 3 ROs, none of them were granted. She had 3 TROs that were granted ex parte, which in Minnesota, all you got to do is breathe and you get a TRO. You can write anything you want down on an affidavit for a TRO in Minnesota, and it's granted. You can say whatever you want. As a matter of fact, you can't even, by law, use it in a court of law. I can't use her affidavit in a court of law. But I can use what she said in the affidavit compared to what she said other places, and then go for there. That's perfectly fine. Because she said what she said in her affidavit in other places as well. But my restraining order was granted because he literally harassed me over these claims and threatened me. Never happened. He said, if you do not retract it, I'm going to destroy you. Never said that. That's a statement of fact. So I would ask Kurt, if I never said that, again, you're thinking like the judge, if I've never said that, there's no evidence whatsoever of me telling her, if you don't retract it, I'm going to destroy you, is that defamation? At the very least, it's a lie. It's definitely a lie. I've never said that to her. I never asked her to retract anything by force. What I asked her to say was, you said these things. They're lies. They're not true. And I want you to apologize for it, but I never threatened her on it. I just asked for an apology, which, by the way, she gave me for the fraudulent stuff. She gave me those apologies, but they weren't any means threatening. And she says, look what he's done. Now his cult, really? Hey, Aaron, we have a cult apparently again, because this isn't that long ago. Now his cult are attacking Charlotte and Waxy. First of all, I've never attacked Charlotte nor Waxy. Waxy made some defamatory statements of her own. She said that she had verified things that she didn't verify, or at least acknowledged that. She said that even though she couldn't get it directly, quote, to me, she knew that I was behind things. Really? You had no evidence that I was tied to anything, but somehow I was tied to everything? No, the reason why Waxy had no evidence that I was tied to anything, because I wasn't tied to anything. It was Aaron. It was Tina. None of us had anything to do with any of this shit. This is well known now. Waxy was just wrong. And as far as Charlotte, I asked Charlotte the other day, what is it that we've ever attacked you? Who's attacked you, Charlotte? I've never attacked Charlotte. I don't know anybody who's attacked Charlotte. I don't know Charlotte. I've never listened to Charlotte. I was in her live chat once. Once I was in a live chat not too long ago. But I've never watched her videos. I don't know anything about the woman. So why would anybody be attacking Charlotte? I don't know good, bad, or indifferent. I don't care, to be honest with you. But I was like, I haven't asked her though. Charlotte, who has been attacking you and how have I been attacked you? Now, she never responded. But yeah, that never happened. They go after anyone in line that speaks the truth.
Well, no, we would love you to speak the truth, Katie Joy. We want you to speak the truth. It doesn't happen. That's the problem. That's why you're being sued by everybody, because you can't speak the truth. Don't ever fucking be silenced by abusers. I agree with that. I'm the victim here. Hello. She legally abused me by trying to falsify an affidavit with false information by saying that we were in the same room together, and in that room, I sexually harassed her, even though I've never been in her state. That's a lie. I would say that in that case, there was abuse there, abuse of the legal system. So yeah, don't be silent. Speak out. What the fuck do you think I'm doing? Why do you think Todd Chrisley's suing? Why do you think Shins is suing? Why do you think Toddy Westbrook was suing? Because they won't be silenced. And why do you think there's 3 more lawsuits heading her way? Because she won't be silent. They won't be silenced. Then they win. I would not bow to him if it takes him going to jail. How the fuck am I going to jail? In order to go to jail, you have to do something illegally. I've never done anything illegal. Jaywalking, maybe. Whatever. I mean, what the fuck have I done to go to jail? I said Kyle was going to go to jail, and he ended up going to jail. I even won $100. I bet Peter Riley, who wrote the article for Forbes.com on the Non Sequitur show, that Kyle would be going to jail over this. He bet me $100. He paid up on it, and I applaud him for that. I mean, that is a gentleman's wager, and he paid me the $100 because Kyle did go to jail for it. He had a $10,000 bond. He actually went to jail for domestic abuse, but he stayed in jail because of that, and it was good enough. It met the conditions, right? So, how am I or Aaron or Tina going to go to jail for what? What laws have we broken? I'm so curious. Aaron says, "Yeah, fuck that. Waxy came out and attacked us by trying to help frame us for bullshit. Yes, she did. She butted into the She butted into shit that had nothing to do with her. Yep. And tried to spin narrative. Yep. How the fuck is that us attacking? Amen. No, I would love to know that, Aaron. I would fucking love to know how we attacked Waxy when Waxy lied about us, saying that we committed crimes that we didn't commit. She, according to Aaron, which again, I don't remember this, but according to Aaron, she accused us of creating CP. She accused us of committing crimes by sending death threats, none of which ever happened. And yet we're attacking her? No, I've seen people ask Waxy for evidence, but I'm sorry, asking for evidence is not attacking somebody. Waxy fucked up. Waxy lied. Waxy should be held accountable by people asking her, yeah, where's the evidence for this, Waxy? And they have. She's never produced it. She never will. Why? Because it doesn't exist. Is Kyle still in jail? No, Kyle's not still in jail. However, Kyle may be in the wind a little bit. We are pursuing additional legal action against Kyle. We are letting him know by email that he seems to have possibly violated his confession of judgment, and they will be asking for the judgment in totality for $115,000, and they'll be going after him by other means. So, no, he's not in jail, but there might be some means by which we can return the 2 criminal contempt charges and the civil contempt, and at the very least pursue him for full judgment, because the judgment was for $115,000. But we had worked out a plan where you only had to pay that off a portion of that in installments. But unfortunately, because of some AdSense problems, some monies went to him that weren't supposed to, which would be in violation of the confession of judgment for which he was supposed to turn over. And so we are looking into additional legal action against him. Yeah, so he's not in jail, but he might be in a world of hurt. If we file for the full judgment for $115,000. Even though we can't garnish in that state, we certainly could bring him back into court, ask for his his bank records, find out where he's working, any kind of direct deposit, any kind of checks that are being issued, whether being cashed or whatever. We could definitely make his life hell for the next 10 years. And that's what I tend to do. So, yeah. Because you got to remember, my lawyer's on a fixed retainer. He's already been paid. All I got to do is pay for mailing cost. I paid $5,000 to get him on a fixed retainer so we can just finish all this up. So anything going after Kyle from here on out, that's on the lawyer's dime. But Kyle seems to have violated his confession of judgment. So yes, I think we're going to be filing probably by mid-June, or should be mid-July. We're going to be saying to the court, we want the entire $115,000 judgment. And then I'm going to go after him by other means. So then she says, I'll do everything in my power to send his ass there. Really? Okay. I've never been investigated for anybody or for anything. I've never had the FBI talk to me. I've never had the police talk to me. Nothing. What have I done to go to jail, Katie Joy? Now, I'm not saying that's defamatory. I'm saying that's stupid. I didn't do anything. Aaron didn't do anything. Tina didn't do anything. And it's just, she says, women support women, period. Really? Really? So let me get this straight. This is a woman who absolutely lied, and you misused the Me Too movement in order to try to silence her critics. And her opinion is that women should just believe her by fiat. That women should just believe her because reasons. Oh, did my thing crash here? One sec. Where is... Am I still... Is this still good? Because I look like my system crashed. My mouse has crashed. And I don't know why. Yeah. My streaming thing is hard. Anyways. Hey, April, you can still hear me, right? Because again, I don't know what's going on, but my system's kind of crashed, but it's still streaming for some reason. Give me a heads up, okay? Then she says, everybody else can kiss my fucking ass, but my mouse is frozen. There it goes. There it goes. Now it unfroze. That was weird. That was weird. It was completely froze on me. Yeah, it was good. Thank you. Yeah, no, I got it done freeze now, but it was frozen there for a few. Then she says, everybody else can kiss my fucking ass. Okay, well, like I said, I do believe that women should be believed as far as should they be looked into? Should these things be investigated if they have, they say there's a crime or they've been abused? Yes, absolutely. That doesn't mean you believe them by fiat. That doesn't mean you don't ask for evidence. People have asked her evidence for this. She never produced any. Never. So I'm going to ask Kurt, if this is the case, where she's misusing Me Too and says that I harassed her and threatened her, that never happened. She says, if you do not retract it, I'm going to destroy you. That's a statement of fact. There needs to be evidence for that. I will tell you right here and now, that never happened. So is that defamation, Kurt? At the very least, is it not showing a pattern of problematic behavior by this person? Is it not showing that she's dishonest? Yes. And then she's tweeted out, my biggest regret of my life is ever agreeing to be part of anything associated with Steve McRae. I never picked non sequitur because of him. I never liked him. We never really got along that great. We tolerated each other for a couple shows, but yeah, I was never a big fan. And so that's probably true. And when I told him that, he went on a 2-year revenge harassment campaign. Revenge for what? Why? I wasn't a fan of her either, so why would I care? What is there to get revenge on? I'm confused. His culture of narcissistic abuse has given me PTSD. Well, how many times she's had PTSD before she even came on the internet? And she's also said that other content creators gave her PTSD. So, yeah. What narcissistic abuse? Now, again, I don't know how defamatory that is because it's a statement of opinion. But I think there's a factual statement to be had there. If I gave her PTSD, that to me is a statement of fact that needs to be diagnosed. Because that's either true or false. If it's true or false, it's a statement of fact more than just opinion. And then she says, in my opinion, he and his trolls. Who are my trolls? And some of the most dangerous on YouTube. Really? I do philosophy videos. How is that dangerous? They harass, stalk, and attempt to ruin the lives of their targets. Who have we ever targeted? Hey, Aaron, have I ever called you up and said, hey, let's target this person? No. Hey, Tina, have I ever said, let's target this person? Hey, Reds, have I ever said, let's target this person? No. Nobody I've ever said that to. Not once in my life have we ever said, let's target this person. So that requires evidence. That's a statement of fact. Now I can say that about other people because I know they have actually picked targets. I've seen things in Discords. I have screenshots of them talking about people in Discord and what they're going to do. I have video evidence of like Unirock and Katie Joy sitting in a fucking show before it went on air, not realizing it was live, with him talking about how he was trying to frame me, basically. That he could make it sound like I can say anything that he wanted me to say. He literally was saying this, not realizing he was live. That's targeted harassment. That is not just a matter of opinion. I think that's fact. If you're saying, hey, I can make this person appear to make it sound any way they want, or any way I want them to make it be, to make it sound bad, that's targeting. They seek revenge. Revenge for what? And have more boundaries that they were not crossed to hurt me. We want the truth. That's it. It's the only thing I've ever wanted. That's the only thing that Tina's ever wanted. The only thing Aaron's ever wanted was the truth. Nobody wanted to take me to Target. That'd be cool. Aaron, you're not at the level of Target yet. Okay, you're not quite there yet. I mean, you're more like maybe a Walmart girl, maybe, but no, not Target. I tell you what, get 20,000 subs. We'll talk. 20,000 subs, we'll put you in the Target category. And then she says, keep lying. No one knows more about manipulation than you. I do know a lot about manipulation. Not that I do it, but I recognize the patterns because I see it from other people. Tell them how your lawyer fired you for being a jerk, jackwagon narcissist. That's a statement of fact. That's a false statement of fact. First of all, lawyers don't fire anybody. They withdraw. When she wrote this, I'm still in communication with my lawyer. I like the guy. He actually had even reached out to me sometime afterwards and said, hey, by the way, I'm just doing a follow-up kind of thing. Have you filed a defamation suit against her yet? On his own accord. Really kind of weird that a lawyer fired somebody without filing with notice of withdrawal, not citing Rule 1.16b, and then asking me later on if I sued her. So that's a statement of fact. That's false. That's that's a false statement. That's setting a narrative that my lawyer fired me, which again doesn't make any sense. How do you? My lawyer works for me. I could fire him, but the lawyer can't fire the person who's hired them. They withdraw from the case. So that never happened. Where she came up with that from? No freaking clue. Completely pulled out of her ass like everything else. Jim Jules. I'm dangerous on the dance floor. Oh, yes. Hips don't lie, right? Okay, Shakira. Quote, the lawyers were shaking their heads. None of them have ever worked with a narcissist like him. He's the worst malignant narcissist I've ever seen in my career. And by the way, Uncivil Law points out here, probably the lawyers didn't say this. They've worked with a lot of people. And let me tell Uncivil Law here, I've never talked to any of her lawyers. Yeah. I've never spoken to any of her lawyers. Not one of them. All her lawyers ever spoke to were my lawyers. How could I have ever worked with her lawyers if I've never once talked to any of them? Right? So yeah, this is a bullshit statement. This was never said. Nobody's ever fucking said this, and it wouldn't make any sense. First of all, again, they've seen some pretty shitty shit in their careers probably. But I've never talked to any of her lawyers. Why would I have talked to her lawyers? That's what I have a lawyer for. You don't talk to the opposition's lawyers. You talk to your lawyers, and then your lawyers communicate to them. So this is just stupidly wrong. And of course, Uncivil Law points this out. He's like, yeah, that probably never happened. Well, yeah, it didn't happen, obviously. Let's see. Am I at least a supercenter Walmart? Shit. That's a good point. There's a supercenter. Hey, Aaron, remember the store? Remember the show Superstore? That's you. There you go. We'll take you to a superstore. That's a good show, by the way. And then it goes on to say, according to Natalie Clements' mom, which I don't know if that person even exists, C. McRae messaged Nat, which never happened. I never messaged her in February on Instagram. Never happened. She alleged that he sent graphic images and warned her to do what Little Miss Noble said. I, at the time, didn't even know who Little Miss Noble was. I didn't know the fuck who Little Miss Noble was until after she got served. No clue she was. I heard the name, but that's it. So this is all bullshit. Tracy, who I guess is supposedly is Natalie's mom, alleged they reported it to the police at the time. That is what Natalie stated last week. Well, bullshit. Again, never happened. I've never talked to any of these people on Instagram. There's literally about 3 people that I really only communicate with on Instagram. And that's it. I don't use it for very much. And the account that they had shown, I've never used to communicate with anybody. So, yeah, it's kind of odd. Especially when why would I warn her to do what Little Miss Noble said when I never knew who Little Miss Noble was at the time? It makes no sense. Why would I say, hey, I don't know this person, but you better listen to them? Why? So, again, that's a defamatory statement. She is saying that I've sent graphic images that I didn't send, and I warned her to do what this person, says, yet I didn't know this person at the time. So.
Now, I don't know whether Kurt has said that's defamatory or not. I think he said that there is his statements of fact, whether I sent graphic images or not, which is true. Clearly, if that's not the case, then yes, I think it's defamatory. Then she says, I never lied when I said a malignant narcissist and his flying monkeys tried to frame me for horrific crimes. That's a statement of fact. That's not opinion. By inserting themselves in my lawsuit. I wasn't involved in the Tati lawsuit. How was I involved in her Tati lawsuit? I wasn't. Now you have seen the proof. What proof? This is a cult.
How?
They're all dangerous.
How?
Especially the ones threatening to kill me repeatedly.
That's a statement of fact.
Really?
I have never once seen anybody threaten to kill her. Now, I'm not saying it hasn't happened. Maybe I have no fucking idea, but it certainly has nothing to do with me. I never have. That's slanderous. Because she's trying to implicate that somehow I'm responsible for that, or I'm somehow... Yeah. Who am I flying monkeys? I don't know. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody does anything that I asked them to do hardly any longer. It's like, really? Well, even back then, it's like, what I would do is the same thing that most content creators would do when they're adult. Hey, I don't really, like the way you're doing this, but you do you, boo. That's what I tell people. Not the way I would do it, but you do you. And I use that phrase all the time. You do you, boo. Same thing. Well, I wouldn't really done what Steve did, but what's Steve? Okay. Accept it, because I'm going to do things my own way. If I'm going to do things my own way, I would accept that they're going to do things their own way, right? And I think that Kurt had recognized that if there are statements of fact, then they need to be evidenced. There needs to be evidence for them. So his main complaint about this complaint was it just really didn't show what we were saying was true and what was not true. And I get that. But as a whole, we're saying that these statements are not true and therefore defamatory. So, yes, should we have been more clear? Yes, and will I bring that to my attorneys? Yeah. Would I think we're doing an amended one? Probably not. Let's see here. Guests of the plaintiff's YouTube channels have canceled their appearance with him based upon the defendant's false defamatory statements. I actually have evidence of that, which have not been made public. I have evidence of losing Patreons. I have evidence of every time she had made these defamatory statements, they're the same exact month that I've lost patrons, that I've lost support, that I've lost revenue. I have all these things. Now, she could argue that correlation isn't causation if she's smart enough to know what that term means. But still, it shows that there's definitely a matter of fact to be had. Here's what she said this month. Here's my decrease in revenue. And by the way, my Patreon is at the very top. I don't promote it very much. I suck at those things, but I'm starting to promote it now because why the hell not? I'm trying to do a lot of things on my channels. I'm doing my philosophy stuff. I'm doing 3 a.m. philosophy. And of course, I'm going over stuff like this. If it's entertaining to you and you agree, then by all means, become a patron on the channel. It would really mean a lot. Because again, she did affect me. I'm not going to say that she didn't. That's why I'm suing. I have the actual number that I can show monetarily wise that has been diminished because of her accusations, which allegedly by her accusations, right? I mean, again, I have to prove that in a court of law. I get that, but there are monetary losses. But in defamation per se, you don't have to show monetary losses to win, but I can. So, all right. So what else? So due to defendant's false defamatory statements, plaintiff has lost viewers and patrons, which has caused a decrease in plaintiff's income. I have all the evidence for that. I have all the spreadsheets. Aaron knows I keep meticulous records, okay? I have very good records. I have literally shown to the penny what the loss of revenue is. I've shown by the graphs by loss of revenue to my lawyers. And so, yes, even though I haven't made that public, it's there. And then he notes, plaintiffs have suffered defamation per se, does not need to prove malice, which is true. I don't have to show malice. She has to show malice that I did something wrong, which she cannot do, but believes there's malice directed to him by the defendant. Yes, I think what we're trying to do is show that because of all these different statements, there has been an ongoing effort by Katie Joy to slander me, which is malicious. And the fact that she has done this to other people, the fact she has other content creators she's done this to, numerous content creators she's done this to. It shows that there's a wanton and willful nature that she has to try to defame people and to lie about them. And I'm not the only victim. Again, I'm doing what I can to bring it to the forefront. If people would have listened to me ages ago, maybe they would have saved themselves some heartache now. But
whatever, right? You can only do so much. But do I feel vindicated? Yeah, I do. I feel vindicated that people now are recognizing what I've said all along, that she lies about people. Defendant statements are false and malicious and were made with the intent to inflict a vicious, deliberate, and calculated assault on the plaintiff's character, honor, and reputation to cause plaintiff harm to his business, trade, profession, office, or calling. Absolutely. Again, I have so many screenshots of people talking about this based upon what Katie said. That shows there has been a deficit to the business, to my character, because they're saying, oh, look, Steve, this was filed under VAWA. Everybody who's ever said that, I have screenshots of. They can go delete it now. It doesn't matter. I have screenshots of all that stuff. So all those people that were like, oh, Steve has Violence Against Women's Act. That's all in evidence. That's all on the stuff that I've sent to my attorney. Civil's never seen that stuff because, of course, he has never asked. Would I show him? Sure. Absolutely. But he's acting as if he's the judge based upon just what's in front of him. I respect that. I got no problem with that. I think that's fine. It's one way to look at it. I would do it as, okay, I'm being objective as if I'm the judge. This is how to look at it. However, knowing what I know by seeing additional evidence, this is strong. Because he knows there's going to be additional evidence later on, right? Clearly. But anyways, there wasn't much else that he really talked about. It's just basically, reputational harm, character harm, which, again, Katie's done to other people. I believe that it was done with actual malice. Defendants knew that the statements were false with reckless disregard because she's done it to other people. Because there's a fictitious nature here of her doing this to other people, that shows a pattern, which shows that she willfully knows these statements are false, but she says them otherwise, anyways, right? Yeah, so he asked, he said, well, how do you know that she knows this? Because when people had corrected her, when I had told her something like, oh, I don't collect Social Security. Oh, I don't collect disability. And she continued to make that after she apologized, then she has knowledge of that Uncivil Law. If she said these things, I corrected her and said, look, I don't collect Social Security. I don't collect disability, blah, blah, and she made an apology video. Then she reneges on that apology video. She takes it back and continues to make these allegations. At that point, she knows the statements are false. She's already admitted that they were false. She's already admitted she has a video apologizing. That's how we know, Kurt. Right? I mean, when you make these kind of statements and you make them against multiple people, that shows a pattern. That's pretty reckless. Anyways, so that's kind of a nutshell. I don't think Kurt did a bad job on it. I really don't. I don't think he did a bad review. I get why he only rated a 4 out of 10. But that's okay. I don't have an issue with that, actually. I think it's higher than that, but only because if you assume that the statements are true, which you're supposed to do, yes, it meets the definitely conditions to be served, and it meets the conditions to be adjudicated. Because a motion to quash or to dismiss would have to say there's nothing here that's actionable. Well, if these things are true, they are actionable. Therefore, the motion to dismiss would be denied. Same thing in the Chrisley case. That motion was going to be denied. Why? Because he had things that are actionable. If she would have said, if Todd Chrisley would have said, hey, she said I was gay, I'm suing for that, which isn't defamation. Unfortunately, it's not defamatory. It used to be, but it's not defamatory, and in a way it just shouldn't be defamatory, because then that means you're saying that somehow it's bad to be gay, and I get that, right? Stigmatizing. So maybe it's good that's not considered to be defamational. But if you just sued on that, saying, oh, she called me gay, and I'm suing on that, and they came back and said, hey, look, there's no grounds for this under the Minnesota rule of law. In fact, if you look at the Minnesota court law, one of the things that it says is under 12.02, failure to state a claim upon relief can be granted. We did state by which it could be granted. But if for some reason that it's one of these things to dismiss, well, lack of jurisdiction, that could be dismissed on that, such as in the Toddy case.
over the subject matter or over the person. Insufficiency of process. This is what Kyle was arguing. Kyle was saying he wasn't served properly and then lied about it. Come to find out he was served properly, which I've always said. Matter of fact, again, there have been dishonest lawyers on the internet that had said, oh, he wasn't served properly. They lied. They were wrong. I got it right. So how is that like I knew that he was served properly, yet a lawyer got it wrong? That's odd, right? Now, it wasn't Uncivil Law, but it's somebody that Uncivil Law associates with. They got it wrong. But insufficient process would be, oh, hey, look, motion to dismiss because, well, this person wasn't served properly. Insufficient of service process, same thing. So there are rules by which you can say that something was actionable to dismiss. These are solid defenses, right? Now, her defense on mine is that we failed to state a claim of relief and granted. Well, no, we actually did. The claims are that these things are malicious, they're false, and they've affected my reputation, and that they were done with malice, even though that's not a component that has to be produced. But the statements of facts being that they are false is something by which relief can be granted. If she made these false statements that were defamatory, that's actionable. That's actionable. So we did state why we were suing. That's why it was a boilerplate kind of thing. The same thing she did with Todd Chrisley, and same thing she had with 7M. But if she would have shown that, yeah, these things are not actionable, then yeah, that's fine. But they are actionable. So, matter of fact, like I said, these are almost exactly the same from each other. Go read them. Go download them from the court. I mean, even the first paragraph, I think, is word for word. And again, this was 11/8/221, which was the Tom Chrisley case. This was the 7M case. The arguments are exactly the same. I mean, literally. I mean, there's not much difference here. I think even the second paragraph was identical. Yeah. I mean, however, the court is not legally bound conclusions stated in the complaint when determining whether the complaint survives a motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim. Same thing. However, the court is not bound by legal conclusions stated in a complaint when determining this is boilerplate. And I'm pretty sure she did it in mine, but I would have to look at it. I don't remember. But anyways, yeah. So I guess I just wanted to do a really quick review on this. I'm not throwing shade on Civil's way. I think he made some very good points. I don't really think that he said anything I disagree with. The only thing I do find odd is that he didn't say, yeah, if these things are true, then yeah, they're defamatory and very actionable. In that case, Steve has a very strong case, right? If it is the case that all these things are true, which is assumed to be the case, then yeah, Steve has a very strong case on that. So I kind of wish he would have, but whatever, no big deal, no harm, no foul. But I would like to ask him, hey, look, Uncivil, if Katie said the judge put something under VAWA to try to smear my character that did not happen, then what? Is that something to be sued for when she was told that never happened? I have a statement from my lawyer saying that never happened. She's never corrected that. She went on to continue to say that was the case, that the judge put it under VAWA, that she was sexually harassed. That never happened. Those are all lies. How is that not something that could be sued for defamation? So again, you may not like the way it's worded on civil law, but as far as the merit of the case, as far as the actionability, if all these things are true, is there something there that can be compensated for? And do you agree that if all these things are true, it's pretty heinous? It's pretty heinous that she did this to me, that she did it to other people. And that's what I want people to recognize. That's the takeaway. I want people to recognize that if she can do this to me, she can do it to anybody else, which she did. She did it to Todd Chrisley. She did it to Robert Shin. She did it to Todd Westbrook. And I'm sure she did it to other people as well. So April said, when you say you have additional evidence, I believe you because I've never seen you lie and appreciate that. And two, if you ever tell a lie, you will be crucified on the internet for all time. Oh, and that's funny because supposedly I lie all the time, right? I have all these videos. Steve lied about this, lied about that. And I don't watch them, but people will send me clips that I'll see occasionally a clip. And I'm like, that's not really what I said. That was taken out of context. That's stupid. Oh my God, you're just a fucking idiot. It's all like that kind of shit, right? Never once have they ever shown any kind of lie. It's just they got misunderstandings or they just went out of their way to try to fabricate shit, right? But I will tell you, April, one, I'll show you anything you want. Just let me know if you want evidence. Let me know. I have it all for you. But I know Aaron's seen it. Aaron has actually seen my bank records. Aaron has actually seen my credit score. It literally has seen everything that would be of relevance to this case. Well, maybe not everything. I don't think she said. Well, no, yeah, she did. I sent her the document. I sent her my document is 101 pages long of evidence. So I think it's 101 pages up to or something like that. Now, again, they're pictures and stuff like that. So maybe it's like one picture or two pictures on a page, but it's pretty long. But I mean, she's seen everything. By the way, do you guys want to ask some questions? Let me know. Like I said, I don't want to keep this open too much longer. I just want to do a quick, thing on it. It was late, I was tired, and people had asked me to watch it. Aaron actually wanted me to watch this. Aaron said, "Hey, you got to go watch Civil Law's review. It wasn't half bad." I'm like, "Okay," and I did, and she was right, and I'm glad she recommended it to me. He makes some very good points, and I'll take it on board. But again, I really do want to ask him, "Hey, look, what do you think of somebody that would falsely accuse somebody, falsely say that a judge did something that they never did? Sua sponte or not, irrelevant. The judge never filed it under VAWA. The judge never saw any evidence on it. The VAWA expired in 2019. She did it all to smear my reputation. That's messed up. That's messed up." No. Did you trim up recently? You're looking good, man. No, as a matter of fact, I put on 5 pounds and since I moved down here, and I'm really, really upset by it, to be honest with you. I was eating more than I should. I was eating carbohydrates and sugars, which I really almost always stay away from. But I had some Mexican candies that was so good. I just went out and bought some more. Then I started eating fast food. And yeah, I put 5 pounds on. I was all the way down to 197 from 210. Now I'm at like 203, 205, give or take. And I'm not happy. I'm not happy. It's probably more than 5 pounds. But I'm eating salads now. I had a salad when I got home. You can ask Kano. So I'm trying to eat healthy again because I don't feel like I've trimmed up. I was in good shape. I got photos. But yeah, I appreciate that. But I feel not so trim right now because I can't believe that I put 5 or 6 pounds back on. I was like, really? I worked so hard to take that weight off. And let me tell you, putting it on is easy. Taking it off, not so much, especially when you're over 50. But I told Kano, make sure they don't eat refined sugars. When someone talks as much as you do online, they can make me pretty much say anything they want. Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, shit, I got 2,000 videos, right? But here's the thing. I've always told people, I have a policy. Honest interlocutors get honest answers. Everybody who's ever came to me has gotten the truth. Every one of them who's ever came to me in DM, whether I know them or not, has gotten some form of truth. Now, again, there have been people I've been questioning, who they really are and stuff like that. Then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to play my hand, but I didn't lie to them. Man, I'll tell you a story. I had a Patreon not long ago, and the guy was like, "Hey, look, I'm only $1 Patreon, so you probably don't give a shit." I'm like, I don't give you $1 or $2 Patreon. In fact, that you're a patron, I appreciate it. I'd like you to have the truth. But people know I can't be bought. Like I said, I went after a big Patreon. I've lost big Patreon people because I wasn't going to suck them off. I wasn't going to capitulate to their demands. I wasn't going to be the YouTuber that they wanted me to be. I'm like, no, I ain't playing that bullshit. I will do what I want, and if you like it, then subscribe, be a patron. But I'm not going to tailor myself to other people. It's just not going to happen. But I had a Patreon. Like I said, he's like, probably don't care because I'm only a low-level patron for like $1. I was like, well, no, I do care. I was like, I don't know who you are, but what does he like to know? I went in a chat room with him and spent about an hour, showed him a bunch of stuff. He became a patron again. And he appreciated the fact he's like, I took the time out for this guy. I remember his name now, but I mean, I didn't know who he was at the time. He just was somebody who liked my channel. But I was willing to say, look, if you come in and hang out with me so I know you're a real person and you're not like fucking Uni-Rock or something trying to sea lion, then yeah, I'll show you stuff. And I did. So I hold that out to anybody out there. Benny Barry has known me, goddamn, what? Hey, Ben, how long you go back? 7 years, 8 years? I've always been open on all that shit. Benny goes back to the GDC days. So, but like I said, Erin has seen a bunch of stuff, and she knows if she asks me for something, I'm going to provide it.
But I think you're right, Zebulon. You know, you're online enough. People can twist your words any way they want. I mean, look what happened with, you know, fucking Kyle. Look what happened with freaking the other co-host after that, which I'm not even going to mention her name because of how disgusted I am by that situation. You know, they outright just twisted shit. Why? Because they would take what was, you know, said out of context and try to like run this bullshit narrative, and then behind the scenes, completely different. And yet, behind the scenes, the public don't fucking see it, right? They only see what they're putting out or what's happening. They don't know what goes on in real life. And yet, the people that do go, oh yeah, you know, Steve was in the right. When Steve says people lied about it, they did. Here's the evidence. They know it. But people that expect me to make things public when I'm in a lawsuit, yeah, that's not going to happen. There's certain things I just can't make public. My lawyers have told me not to. They never said I can't show it in private, though. They never said that, so... if Katie Joy was a church, she'd be Westboro. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And I think she's spinning out of control, personally. Again, I haven't watched anything from her in ages. What I do see is clips from Llama Girl. And there's somebody else recently that has been posting stuff, and I don't remember who it was. Was it Mama Maso or whoever it is? But I think Katie definitely is exhibiting behaviors that are even atypical for her. I have heard through the grapevine, again, completely hearsay, take it for what it's worth. I can tell you right now, it's from somebody who's directly involved in the lawsuits, that she's running out of money, and that her lawyers may not even get paid. I don't know, but there seems to be something involved in the fact that she does not want further litigation. Todd Chrisley said in a tweet confirming something along that lines, that there's an email sent that she doesn't want any further litigation. She wants to settle. Todd Chrisley's not going to settle. He absolutely refuses to settle. He wants it to be adjudicated because he wants her to have to be held accountable for her lying, for her making false statements about him and his family. And I think that's absolutely what should have happened, you know? Kimaki says, social media can create a false sense of intimacy, and users sometimes mistakenly believe they are the only speaking to a small, well-known group of people. That's true. Like, for example, like a Kimamaki. I don't know who Kimamaki actually is. I just know the name. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with Kimamaki, have I? But I don't know if that's their real name or not. But they've always been cool. They've always been a subscriber. They've always been a fan of the channel. I don't have to know much more about them than that. But somebody like Aaron's an actual friend. We talk, you know, quite frequently in Hangouts. And I do like Aaron. I think Aaron's a great person. And, you know, I want to support her channel because I find her to be intelligent and funny. But these, you know, other people out there are just subscribers. I don't know who they are. I have no idea. They're just avatars. They're just a name. But I still give them the same respect. You know, I'll still say, hey, look, I don't have to know who you are, but if you want to see evidence, that's fine. I don't have to know anything about Kimamaki other than they've been cool to me. You know? Zebulon 181, same thing. Even April Van Right. I mean, I know who they are on Facebook and stuff like that, and Twitter, but I don't think I've even had... April, have you and I ever been to Hangout together? I don't think so. Maybe
a long time ago. Maybe? Yeah, I don't remember.
But anyways...
Ask your questions now, forever hold your peace. Like I said, I wanted to give a fair critique of Uncivil's review. And like I said, I didn't play the video, but I don't think he did a bad job. Yeah, I just don't. So there you go. I didn't know what to expect. I always said that I have nothing against Uncivil. I don't like who he hangs out with. I think he associates with some of the most dishonest people I've ever met in my entire fucking life. But that's his thing. That, you know, I'm not going to hold him too much against him because he has no idea how dishonest some of these people are. He just doesn't know. He doesn't go back with them as long as I do. I know these people for 6-7 years. He doesn't have 6-7 years of experience with them. I do. But be that as may, I think he really did an unbiased job in that review, and I think he made some very good points. So I appreciate that. You know what's funny is Emily Baker didn't go through it. Uncivil Law at least did, but Emily Baker didn't. And Emily Baker was served a notice of preservation. Yet, I've never had a conversation with Emily Baker. Never. Emily Baker has never said a word to me.
So why would there be anything to preserve? Why do you need an order of preservation for something from somebody who's never talked to me? April said, I don't have socials and I've never had a hangout with you. We just talk in the YouTube comment section. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I didn't think so either. You know what's funny, April? You remember one time the dipshit Unirock was like, Steve has to see the ideas of all his mods. I'm like, I've never seen anybody's idea. The shit that they come up with, man, right? And that's what Katie Joy does. They just run with this shit. In fact, I was just on Aaron's channel, and we were talking about rumors, right? And we didn't really much talk about rumors that much because we had EBJ Comic Nut come on. It was good to talk to him. But one of the rumors out there was like somehow I have a relationship with somebody that I have absolutely no relationship with. I've talked to them, but I guess Bobby the Robot Cat was saying that I have a relationship with this girl, that girl Jessie. I'm like, no, she's been on my channel, but I have no interest in her, none when it comes to that. I have nothing against her. People hate her. And I'm like, oh, whatever. That's your guys' business. But, have I talked to her? Sure. Yeah, I talked to her. I have no reason not to talk to her. But there's no relationship there. Nothing. And I asked her, I was like, why the fuck do people think that we have some kind of relationship going on? And she's like, why would people think that? I'm like, I don't know. But that's what they're saying. Have you said anything like that? And she told me no. But if you guys have evidence of her saying something like that, I'd like to see it. Because I will tell you like now, that's bullshit. And that's the kind of bullshit rumors that people just believe outright. What else you got? Ask me questions, guys. Come on. I mean, I got like 13 more minutes here. You don't want my ID? How do I get senior discount? Oh, you're not that. Well, you know what? He is older than me, I guess. Yeah, I remember Kimwaki saying that he is older than me. I start getting my senior discount in like 3 years, man. 2.5 years or something like that. I get my senior discount. 55 in some places, yeah. You guys really got nothing? I mean, I know you've heard this a million times, but I don't mind being asked questions. Ask me anything you want. I know I'm caffeinated up. I went out, had a couple beers. Then I came back and actually I had a beer, 7-7, and some orange juice, pineapple, something or other. Now I'm drinking coffee, so ask me why you can. Aaron, are you still out there? Lisa says I missed the whole stream. Well, guess you got to rewind and go at two times speed. That's why I listen to everything at like 1.5 speed, 2 speed. So that's why there are those content creators that speak really slow. It's nice because when I put them on a 1.5 speed, it sounds normal. But the content creators that speak really, really quick, I can't put it on 1.5 or 2 speed because then they sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Jim Jules says, is it true that everything is your fault? I take the 5th. Hey, Jim Jules, did you hear it? I got hired this morning. So. Yay me! We go back to work. You want to come in, Jules? You want me to start? You want to like open up a hangout? You guys won't join anyways. She's like, it's too late for me. And she's like, I'm not dolled up enough to go on camera. I'm like, you don't have to go on camera to join a stream. You're using a microphone. Have you or will you do something on value theory? Which type of value theory? There's value theory as far as political, economic value theory, labor theory, or value theory as axiological as far as knowledge value theory. There's different types of value theory. There's things related to is there value in knowledge versus justified true belief. That's considered a type of added value, but probably not. Will you consider having guest co-host on the Non Sequitur show? Yes and no. I will be having guests come on as to co-host, but they're not anything. They don't get any compensation. They're just promoting their channel. I've had a number of people that are interested in that. I'm going to have Reds on in next month. Jim Jules is going to be on again, and a few other people that I'm not going to say whom yet, but Yeah. So yeah, I'm not having any. I'm never going to put myself in that situation again. I don't trust anybody ever again when it comes to that. I give you guys my word. I'm never going to trust anybody when it comes to that shit because I've been fucked over and they just lie. It's just the amount of fuckery is beyond comprehension. When I've gone all these years saying the truth and people knowing it, and yet for some strange reason, when it came to something recent, I just decided to, I'm just going to lie my ass off about it. No, I have the evidence that there's no lie. I have people saying that I was telling the truth, and yet, well, fuck Steve. Okay, whatever. So yeah, I don't trust anybody any longer when it comes to that. Do I trust them to come on? Yeah, that's fine. But that's as far as it goes. I'm not ever going to become any kind of business relationship with anybody ever again. No more than maybe, I'll give you something here, show up and do whatever. But that's about it. Yeah. Do you blame me? I mean, seriously, guys, do you fucking blame me? I've been fucked over twice. Fucked over twice by people I thought I could trust. Jim Joe says, oh, hi, Bunny Rabbit. Hi, good morning, Bunny. Jim Joe says, I have a 7 a.m. client, finally not 5 a.m., and I'm past my bedtime. Well, go get your beauty rest, girl. Not that you need it, but go get it. I'm going to keep you up. And Bunny, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. I know you've been a member for a while, but I see green, and so I'm like, thank you, because I haven't built up my channel recently. I have not promoted anything. I haven't been pushing my GoFundMe. I haven't been pushing my Patreon. I haven't been pushing memberships. Nothing. Why? Because I've been focusing on other shit. I've been focusing on in real life stuff. And like I said, I'm going back to work. I finally got a driver's license. Did I tell you the story of the driver's license? I went down there to get my ID. And when I was down there, I was like, shit, I might as well take the driver's license exam. I haven't had a license expired. My license expired, I think, in 2015. I just never really needed one. So I didn't bother to get one. No, it wasn't because of any kind of thing on my record. I had nothing like that whatsoever. And so I was like, shit, I'll take the test, right? I know how to drive. First time I take the test, I fail it. And I'm like, fuck. And I knew the answer to like one or two of them, too. I don't know why. I just, whatever. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go read the handbook and I'll come back. And so you can't have the handbook in the testing area, but you can have it in the DMV. So I got the handbook and I'm reading the handbook. I'm skimming it, blah, blah, blah. I'm a pretty quick reader. I thought the gist of it. Go take the test again. Failed it. I don't like failing tests. I'm not a big fan of that, right? Again, people know I had a 4.0 in college. So for me, I'm pretty academically minded. So I was like, hell no, I ain't failing this 3 times. You failed 3 times, you got to start the whole process over again, pay all the money again, and you have to wait a week. I was like, nope, I need my ID for my work. Nope. To get the job, you have to show ID, right? So I let them know. I have my Social Security, my birth certificate, but I didn't have ID. And so I was like, nope, not going to fail this again. And so I sat there for an hour, and I read every line in that fucking manual. Everything. Still, on the 3rd test, I missed 3 questions. But you can miss 3 questions and then pass. So I barely passed by the skin of my teeth. And it came up, congratulations, you passed. And I was like, oh, God, thank you. I was so relieved. It was like winning the jackpot. Bunny Rabbit says, you look really good. Real life agrees with me. You're the second person who says that. Thank you. And I appreciate that. And yet, I got to tell you, I think I look horrible right now. I'm really fucking tired. Like I said, I gained 5 or 6 pounds I'm not happy with. I was getting abs. I was getting in shape. I was cut. And now I have a little bit of the paunch again, and I'm not thrilled with that. So I've told myself I'm going to get back in shape by the end of summer. So 4 months. I'm going to go back down to like 195 to 197. I'm only eating basically sours and lean meats. And you can ask Kino. Ask her. I told her no more refined sugar. I'm done. No more fast food. Because I sit here. I have these coupons that I clip because people know I'm frugal as hell. No joke, I'm frugal. I clip coupons, man. Every dollar I account for. I mean, it's not cheap. There's a difference between frugal and cheap. But the reason why I can afford lawsuits and things of that nature is because I've saved up fucking at least some money by being frugal. Because I'm just not a materialistic person. April for $5 Canadian says for drugs. Oh wait, I have those too. But Kano bought those. What is it? Where are they at? Anyways, Kano bought these resin things. They're sativa hybrid, indica hybrid, mostly sativa dominant. Yeah, they're not bad. I tried one, I passed out.
Marijuana is legal now.
But I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. I'm really not a fan of marijuana. I'll have an edible now and then, only when I have like pain. I have some back problems and other things, and I can't sleep for insomnia, and that's it. Other than that, I don't like the feeling. I don't like the high feeling. It's nothing that I would ever do if it wasn't for the pain. But when I'm hurting and I just cannot sleep or something like that, then yes, I'll take 10 milligrams. But it's very rare.
Jim says, just finishing up for tomorrow and listening. The death of a squirrel set my day back 5 hours. Check my ID stories. Okay. I'm sorry you had a death of a squirrel. I like squirrels. So, let's see. I've never driven a motorized vehicle in 6 decades. Damn. How do you not? Yeah, it's been a while for me, but not 6 decades.
But thank you, April. I appreciate that. Matter of fact,
I think when I do my
non sequitur show, I mean, people always say like, "Oh, set a goal for your show, like a $20 an episode or something like that." And I hate doing that. I know that the Drunken Peasants does that, and they make about $800 a week. They make good money setting goals. But I've always found it to be, I don't know. I hate not saying the word tacky. It's just not my thing. I've never been profit oriented. But people have reminded me, if people like the material, then nothing wrong with that. And yet people say I'm grifting. It's like, really? I've spent $9,000. No, more than $9,000. Wait, I mean, totally? Even though I've recuperated maybe half of it, but I've spent $12,000 on legal fees since I've been on YouTube. 5,000 plus 5,000 plus 2,500. So yeah, I've spent $12,500 on legal fees. Now, yes, some of it was recuperated, but not, I would say less than half. So, or maybe half, but even still, that's a lot of money that they spent, right? So if I'm grifting, I'm certainly not doing it right. I'm not making a profit off of it. So, in fact, when I did my taxes, I barely pulled a profit. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. You guys got no other questions, man. I'm just kind of chilling at this point. It's way past the Uncivil Law part of it. I'm just kicking it with you guys at this point. But Jim Jules has to go to bed. I don't want to end it yet. I like hanging out with you guys. And Kano's at work, so got nothing else to do. All right, I'll keep it over for 2 more minutes. So, last minute questions, anything you guys want? Come on. Entertain me here. I always entertain you guys. Entertain me for a change. Nothing, really? Oh, but yeah, Bunny has to get ready for work. All right, well, Bunny, you have a good day at work. I appreciate it. Talk a little philosophy. Well, I'll tell you that what I'll be doing on the philosophy side of it for 3 a.m. philosophy. I just finished the denial and rejection. That took about 45 minutes. Couldn't get through all of it. April, you had pointed out that it was just a lot of material crammed into a little space. And I get that. I wanted to be easily digestible. And it wasn't perfect. It was my first attempt at doing something like that. So hopefully I'll improve. But I want to do an episode on what paraconsistent logic is, what paracomplete logic is. I want to do an episode on Doubt-theism, Anotheism, and gradualism. I want to do an episode on what it is to have an epistemic position on beliefs. I want to do one on moral theory. I want to do one on terminology as far as what's called an L1 structure that I kind of touched on the other day, but I really didn't get into the nuance of it. And I could do a lot better job in that. I mean, I understand what an L1 structure is. I understand what the modal operators are. And not that anybody would ever use it, but I want to demystify some of the terminology. And when you look at some of these mathematics, you're like, holy crap, what the hell is this supposed to say? Is this English? But once you know what the symbols mean, you generally can understand most of the time what it's saying, right? If you understand what the symbology is, and you read it in English, then you kind of go, okay, this is what it's contextualizing. But if you don't know what the symbology is, then yeah, it's Greek, literally, And again, I'm not proficient in it, but I learned it myself. But I'm like, okay, well, if I can figure this out and read it, then anybody can. Clearly, you don't have to be an expert to read this if you can go figure out where to find what these symbols mean and how they're utilized. You said it was really good. Thank you. I thought it was okay. Maybe a little bit above average, but it wasn't as good as I would like it to have been. April, and I know my own harsh critic, but I could do better. Kim Walker said, I'm not sober to discuss Fregeach. I could just, if you want, I could do the Fregeach embedding problem, Kimamaki, and I will be doing things like that, right? I'll be explaining why the non-cognitive positions have the Fregeach embedding problem as opposed to the cognitive positions. I will be explaining and demystifying some paradoxes eventually that I wanted to get into. Because I find those things fascinating. I find, like the Grim Reaper paradox is very interesting, right? Or
what was the other one I wanted to do? It had to do with knowledge. What was that paradox I was going to do?
I know there's the Finch paradox that if all knowledge is knowable, then all knowledge is known. But that wasn't the one I was going to do. There was one dealing with knowledge that was like really, really interesting, and I can't remember what it was. Shoot. Do I have it here somewhere? I might have. Let me see. I have so many tabs. No, I don't have it. I remember by the time we get done, I remember it afterwards going, oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. What was it about knowledge? There's a paradox of knowledge that... Oh, I remember what it was. A paradox about learning about knowledge, because in order to learn something, you have to have knowledge to be able to do it. For example, if I wanted to learn to play the guitar, even though I play a little bit, I'm a beginner guitarist, but if I want to learn to play the guitar, I have to have knowledge of how to play the guitar in order to practice to get better to learn. So you're using knowledge to gain knowledge, but you can't do that, right? How do you learn how to play the guitar if you don't have any knowledge to begin with, right? So there's a paradox there to be saying you need knowledge of how to do something in order to do the very thing you're trying to do, which seems circular. I don't remember the name of the paradox though, but I thought it was an interesting paradox. April says, I followed everything. It was easier to understand the way he presented it. That says something, and I appreciate that. I really, honest to God, do. Again, I don't think it was presented as well as I would have liked to present it. I'm not trying to be self-defacing or anything like that. I just know that I have the ability to do better. If you go look at my calculus videos, I think I did a really good job on those calculus videos explaining, calculus 2, and that's how I present things. And so I didn't present that in a way that I would do like a math video, and I wish I would have. So in the next video that I do, which might be again on L1 sentences or predicate logic, or what pair complete would be when it comes to these acceptance and rejection part of that paper, I'm going to present it at a lot more mathematically precise, the way I did it in the calculus videos. I think it's just easier to understand that way. I think it's easier to present. And again, you got to remember, I'm having to learn this stuff in order to present it. And some of the stuff I already know, obviously, but I'm not somebody who's well studied in these things. I'm trying to show that if a layperson can at least get enough knowledge to relate it to somebody, then anybody can. It shouldn't be so mystified that you think that, oh, I have to be some kind of like philosophical genius to understand this stuff. No, you don't. You just have to have the willingness to learn it. And I noticed that especially when it comes to the atheist, they're not willing to go learn this stuff. They think they know shit they don't know. And that's what bothers me. They think they know stuff that they just don't know. And so when you run across somebody who does know their stuff, and they go, okay, hey, Steve, you're learning this stuff, and then you can have a conversation with them, and then you see somebody come on along, and they go, oh, well, you guys are just talking word salad. You kind of just both look at them and go, no, it's not. It's not word salad. We're actually just speaking a language that they don't have the insight of. They didn't learn that language, and they don't think that they need to, which is fine. But if they want to have those conversations, it helps to understand what the hell people are talking about when they say a certain word in philosophy. And even though certain words in philosophy can mean different things, there's still a general understanding, right? And so that's what I want to hope to accomplish with my 3am philosophy series, is that when you say certain words, they connote a meaning to somebody. And I want to get into speech act theory as well. And I want to get into all these different things that people might have an interest in that I find to be fascinating, and then be able to relate them on a layperson's level from a layperson. Right? No, not every atheist. No. Jim Jules knows math. Jim Jules, she knows math. Don't let her fool you, man. She's one of those people that just goes, I just want people to think I'm pretty. No, she's smart. She's She knows her shit. She just doesn't let on, and I don't know why.
The Jim Jules, I know you know math. So,
no, and April's, it's not every atheist, not by any stretch of imagination. It's just that,
many of the ones I run across are so indoctrinated to be able to parrot things. And so they hear something and they have a knee-jerk Pavlovian type response rather than go, okay, how is that used in the literature? Because even on Facebook, when I say, look, this is how the terminology is understood from my perspective, in the literature, do you oppose that? If you oppose it, why? What am I missing here? If you want to correct me on it, by all means, do so. And I don't think I've had anybody say otherwise. I don't think anybody said, no, that's not how the term's used. I don't recall anybody saying that and actually have evidence to support it, right? I just, when I say a word like, gradualism, yeah, I know what it means. If I say a word like objective morality or phrase like objective morality, yeah, I know how it's used in the literature. But a lot of people don't. They conflate things like objective morality and moral absolutism. What was that Noah paradox? Let me see if I can find the name of it. I keep really good notes and stuff like that, but let me see if I can find it. I might have kept it in a tab because I wanted to do one on rigid dangers too. Necessary and by modal logic and possible world theory. What's Kripke's rigid designators? Fascinating topic on that for what's called a posteriori knowledge rather than a priori knowledge, where something could be a contingent and or necessary. I think it's fascinating. Let's see here. No, I didn't keep it. I didn't put it in a tab. Maybe I can try to Google it. Knowledge.
Oh no, I did put it in a tab. I know which tab I have it in. Wait, I did put it. I'll find it. I know I have it because I just saw it, but I didn't scroll down far enough, I think. Yeah, I'll get back to you on it. I just don't know where it's at. That pisses me off because I just can't remember what it was.
Kimomaki, do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Knowability requires the existence of non-actual knowledge. But that's Finch's paradox of knowability, but that's not what I'm referring to. Oh, well, there's Meno's paradox. Meno's paradox is one of them. Meno's paradox is that inquiry never produces new knowledge, but only recapitulates that which is already known. But even that wasn't the exact paradox. But Meno's paradox was one of them. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, if you guys got suggestions of what you want me to do a episode on, let me know. Like I said, I'm gonna try to keep them down between 15 minutes and 45 minutes. I found that to be optimal. And like I said, make sure it's something that I can understand myself. Don't go crazy on me and expect me to be able to explain to you shit that's way out of my depths. I had a hard enough time just trying to understand tuples in modal logic to get to the point where I go, okay, at least I'm kind of understanding what the hell they're saying. Because that was in the paper, and I was like, okay, this is a modal system. In the modal system, as a tuple, one of them is the epistemic worlds, one of them is relation function, and one of them is the veracity function. But that's actually a set to how you define a possible world in mathematics. So, somebody will remember the name of that freaking paradox in put in the descriptions. Now, not the liar's paradox. I just pulled up that one. It's not the liar's paradox. Well, whatever. All right, guys. I guess I'm going to wrap it up if you've got nothing else. I appreciate all you guys. I really do. Like I said, I know there's been a lot of fuckery, and the people that stuck around, you know, there's a reason to stick around. I'm not giving up on this channel or the Non Sequitur Show or even the Great Debate community. I'm always going to be trying to put stuff out. I am going back to work, but you know, I'm going to fit the stuff into my schedule. It'll work out. But I got to do real life stuff. I got it to just this has to be my hobby, and so that's what it's going to be. But that's what I want it to be in the beginning. I want this to be something that I enjoy doing and that people want to follow it. Great. But of course, you know, it is definitely helping my income because I have really very little right now. My numbers are completely low, which is fine, but I don't split with anybody now. But you know, I'm going to try to build that up at probably during the summertime. After I get situated in my job, I'm going to be doing stuff in town. I'm going to be trying to have man on the street stuff. I'm going to be connecting with people, and I'm going to really be pushing my channels locally through connections that I have, even through the media possibly. And maybe we can build it up again, but it's not going to be toward the end of the summer probably. Well, April says, you know, whatever interests me, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm probably going to be doing propositional stuff for a while. I find that to be most interesting, or modal stuff. But again, it's just the terminology. When you say, hey, Steve, what is this? When people say this, I heard this word used in some, you know, debate. How is this being understood? That may be what I can help you with. Again, because again, I'm just a layperson on this. And so I have to approach it as such. But I find it to be interesting to go understand what they mean. Because again, when Alex Mappas did his debate with William Lane Craig, it was on a very, very complicated subject on possible infinities, actual infinities. And it required an understanding of what's called future perfect, which is simple perfect tense. And there's a subtle difference on the modal operator. And so I literally had to ask him, what the hell are you talking about? And so it took me a couple of days to understand that in order to write my blog for it, but I was able to do it. One thing that I think that I am capable of doing is understanding concepts given enough time, but that's something that isn't instantaneous. That's something that you have to work to do to apprehend these things. And so it doesn't come natural to me. It never did. Matter of fact, even in nuke school, we had guys in nuke school that could do fucking math in their head. You know, these kinds of savants that can do the most wildest, craziest shit in their head. I'm like, how the hell do you do that? I can't do that. I use a calculator. I understand the concepts. I know, you know, the relationships, and I was able to understand the science and the physics, but I wasn't able to do those complex equations in my head. God damn, no. But they sure were able to. They just had aptitude for it. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. I babbled on enough. I appreciate it, guys. Seriously, I like connecting with you guys at late night. So Jim Jules, go get some sleep. You got a client in the morning. April, thank you for modding. Kimamaki and Zebulon, thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Bunny Rabbit, she already left probably because she had to get ready for work, but thank you for becoming a member or being a member. And I'm sure Aaron probably went to bed too, and Kano's at work. So anyways, guys, thank you very much again. I appreciate all that you guys do. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see on this channel, what you guys want me to go over. I do read them, okay? And with that, I bid you guys good night.